So there, I think that technological marvels have all been attended to. So they all need their particular attention. So welcome to this meditation. And as an introduction to it, I'd like to mention that I have a particular, very special relationship, maybe even reverence, to places in the natural world that are untouched or off bounds for human beings. There's a place near here, on the San Francisco Peninsula, that's a water district. They have this big reservoir for water for San Francisco and other cities. But some of the land around it, no one is supposed to walk on. It's off limits. And I'm sure that some people in the water district have occasion to go on it, but occasionally. But it's basically off limits. And it isn't like I feel like it's private property exactly, but I feel like it's protected from human encroachment. And I feel I'm so happy that there's a place where in the natural world that that's inaccessible to me. It's just there. It's a kind of sacred place, special place, where the natural world can just kind of be itself, be its own thing. And the animals there, the deer, the mountain lions, they can just be outside the influence or outside the desires and preferences of humans. So I'm sure there's other ways of understanding this water district land, but there are these places in the world that are considered sacred, that some people, you don't visit, you stay away from. And so in the same way in ourselves, there are realms or aspects of our being, our inner world, which also belongs to a kind of dimension of life which I feel shouldn't be part or is not part of our desires and preferences and what we construct and even what we interpret and the meaning making we add to it. That it's there and it's operating in its own way as a natural functioning, as a natural phenomena that can operate with us, for us, maybe even guide us, but it's not something we can appropriate. It's not something that we can claim to be ours, or that we can, that we're really outside the realm of appropriating as mine or me, outside the realm of how I think about myself, all the ideas I have about myself, the conclusions, the judgments about my life. There's a whole other operation that's operating here. And it's found or touched into and gets to be known by a deep quiet, a stillness within, a quieting of the constructing mind, a quieting of the mind that's reacting and thinking and planning and judging and making meaning of things and predicting the future and hanging on to the past. Quieting the mind that is concerned with me, myself, and mine, who I am, what my experiences are, what's happening to me. Certainly those kinds of mental thinking has a place in life, but I don't want to rule it out completely, but there's something beyond it, something deeper than that. When that gets quiet, that there's a natural operation. And part of that belongs to the realm of love, of compassion, of some deep sense of tenderness or care, and so maybe there's the human qualities of nurturing and nurturing, like the nurturing that a parent might feel for a little baby. Maybe these are instinctual in us. They're deeper than it belongs to the human species. They belong to maybe all mammals. That we have certain maybe hormones and chemicals and orientations that brings forth a natural capacity to care, to love, that should not be appropriated, that should be left alone. It can operate in us, through us, with us, but it's not about us exactly. And it's not about how well we can do something. It's not about being successful or not about failing. It's about becoming quiet enough or still enough to be able to listen on the other side of all our thoughts and thinkings and ruminations, to be able to feel below the level of our anxiety or disappointments or desires, aversions, resentments. There is a place that I think inside that is sacred, a place of that I have certain reverence for, that is not exactly me. I can't appropriate it. But it's there and invaluable. And it's connected to, very deeply connected to the idea of care and compassion, love, kindness, an instinct towards nurturing. And so maybe we can sit here with that as a reference point for today. That it's sit to meditate in a field with an intention, with an orientation towards being compassionate or loving or kind, nurturing for ourselves and whatever is here within us, whatever is challenging within us, whatever our thinking mind is churning up and the way the thinking mind is churning up and casting its difficulties through our muscles and our body and our emotions. It's difficult to be a human being. And deep within us, there is an instinct to care, to nourish, nurture, compassion and love. So to assume a meditation posture, perhaps viewing the posture as a form of love or care for ourselves. Gently closing the eyes. And this closing of the eyes to be done with care, with love, with a sense of purpose. To nourish, to heal, to free this human being from suffering. To become aware of the body breathing, not as an exercise in concentration or becoming present, but rather as an instinct to bring care, love, maybe a parental or grandparently love, for what's at the core of yourself. Maybe the core from which breathing is intimately connected. Where we sense that breathing itself arises from a deep source of keeping ourselves alive, of nourishing ourselves, providing us with the energy, the vitality that allows us to be here. So much of our inner systems keeping us in homeostasis, keeping us in balance, keeping us alive. Keeping us alive is for our own benefit, allowing this deeper place of ourselves to care and benefit us. That's beyond our thinking mind, engineering mind, judging mind. To sit present for our natural capacity for love. as we come to the end of this sitting, might there be for you enough quiet or calm, or maybe inner sensitivity to your body and heart, that you could feel that operating system within that has to do with nurturing or caring, has gentle compassion or love. The kind of source of motivation and instinct that comes with caring for holding a newborn baby, or holding someone's hand as they're dying peacefully. There are times in our life when we're touched deeply by our shared humanity, our connections to others, that bypasses our biases and our judgments and our histories and even our created identities and ideas of me, myself, and mine. And as we sit here and bring this to a conclusion, can you be still and gaze upon the world kindly? Gaze upon the world with compassion and love, not wanting anything from anyone. Being able to gaze upon everyone with no fear, no aversion. Be still and gaze upon everyone kindly. And with that nurturing, caring instinct, to wish everyone well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be free. And may all beings know that there is care and love and compassion in this world. And that it's directed to them as well. Thank you. So, hello everyone, and welcome to this fourth talk, where I try to articulate the core teachings that kind of underlie what motivates me to teach and what guides how I teach. And so it's kind of hopefully a clear way of letting people know what I'm about, because some of you have been listening to me for a long time, and it feels like it's a responsible thing for me to kind of be very direct about what I think are my core my core orientations as a teacher, perspectives. And so yesterday I talked about how there's a strong naturalistic orientation in how I teach and how I practice. That that there's um, an orientation perspective that there is a natural functioning within us that benefits us, that we're tapping into and allowing to move through us and allowing to awaken us in us. That as we orient towards suffering and the end of suffering, as we free ourselves from fixed ideas and fixed views, that it gives room for this natural functioning of ourselves to function, to operate. And just like if you keep your cut clean, it allows a natural functioning of the body healing to heal the cut. Just as some of the ways in which our hearts get broken, if similarly, kind of metaphorically, we keep the heart clean, we don't interfere with its own natural working, give room for it, get room for the pain, there is a natural kind of healing or movement towards health that the heart knows what to do. Better than our thinking mind, our engineering mind, our mind that's trying to figure out or trying to understand. And so to sit in meditation and get out of our own way and not only do the practice, but also be practiced by the practice. Allow ourselves to be changed and moved by this deeper instinct, deeper movement that happens within us. It's not our doing. And we learn over time that a lot of the things that we do interfere with the movement towards freedom and liberation. So one of the core aspects of all this, this naturalistic kind of orientation, is that there is within us a natural movement towards the whole category, to use a category word, the whole phenomena of love, the whole movements of the heart that we can have. And that one of the deepest ones is the instinct to nurture, the instinct to care for that which we value, that which we love, that which we are touched by or moved by. And so sometimes that's done for who we feel closest to. Sometimes it's done for for small babies. I think I've mentioned this recently that I knew a man who volunteered in the local hospital working with the prematurely born babies who needed to be held and have physical contact in order to develop normally. And that was his volunteer job, just to hold premature babies. And it changed him, softened him, opened him over the time that he did it. Some people have this relationship to animals or little puppies or kittens, that something happens, or an injured bird that we gently take care of. And or sometimes some of us have been at the bedside of people who are dying, and when sometimes they're dying slowly and peacefully, and can be a deep tenderness, a deep feeling of love and care that in that bedside occasion. And so as we settle in meditation, as we get quiet in meditation, that there are these very human capacities we have that are operating, that are, I like to think of them, independent of our thinking mind or our constructive mind, our reactive mind, our imaginary mind, the mind that builds up stories and images of ourselves and lives in these kind of cathedrals, lives in these kind of cities of concepts and that are culturally and familiarly and personally kind of created that we don't even realize how much we are conditioned by our culture, by our society, by our language, by our family, and we just think that uh, our very idea of who we are as a self and who we are in relationship to other people, and even who we kind of how we're oriented towards others, is very deep culturally conditioned phenomena, and we take it for granted. We think this is the way it is, and so with that comes the idea that, of course, being angry or being aversive, of course, setting up strong boundaries, and you and me, of course. I have desires, and of course, protecting myself, of course, all these things of courseness that build up this very complicated world that's very fragile and easily disrupted, easily hurt. But if we, in meditation, if we get quiet enough and peaceful enough, that kind of constructing mind, the active mind that makes up stories and imagines and has beliefs, we get through layers and layers of them. And it's phenomenal to realize how many layers of conditioning we have. And to come down to a place where there's some deeper operating system can function. And one of those is to do with love and care and compassion. And so that with the contact with suffering in the world, it's not despair that arises, it's not anguish, it's not a sense of hopelessness or a sense of overwhelm. We don't suffer more because we're in contact with suffering, but rather it awakens the instinct for compassion, instinct to care for what is suffering. And this happened to me when I was practicing in the Buddhist monastery, my first time in a monastery. And I was there for about 3 years, and that was amazingly significant for me. I felt that the experience of meditating was, I used to call it, like you have these, I think it's kind of salt-like things, I believe, you put on meat to tenderize meat, to soften it up. So maybe it's an unfortunate metaphor, but I felt like my heart was being tenderized, softened by the practice of meditation in the monastery, and I was amazed at there was places of responding to the world that was not me responding. It's not the usual guild, not how I knew myself. But it felt like an instinct, or it felt like a completely unintended awakening of compassion, of love, of wanting to respond to the suffering of the world. And this became so central to kind of who I became, who I am, that it wasn't really me in the usual sense of the term. But it was more me than anything else could be me. But there was no me in it, kind of. And and that's where I wanted to base my life from. And specifically, the only thing that made sense, the only response to the world that I had, became responding with compassion to the suffering of the world. And that's where I decided to devote my life to Buddhism, to Buddhist practice, and because I was in a Zen monastery, to become a Zen monk and a Zen priest, because that's the only way I knew to address the suffering, human suffering, at its deepest roots. Many other ways of addressing it that are very important, but I felt like I needed to be able to be, because of the depth in which I had discovered, I felt like I had to somehow try to respond from that deep place to the deep place in others, and to bring suffering to an end. And so that's when I decided to be ordained, and that ordination was very significant for me because it set my life, a certain kind of like a commitment or maybe commitment sounds like too much self in it, but as a recognition, clear recognition that acknowledged or accepted the fact that this was what my life was about, to respond to suffering. And that set me on a course that certainly brings me here today. So for the last over 40 years, this has been my life. To almost 40 years, to dedicate myself. Yeah, more than 40 years, almost 50 years now. That this dedicate my life to address, to meet, to care for, the suffering of the world. And in the process of it, this many years of practice, my understanding of this deeper operating system that is love, that is compassion, that is care, began appreciating all the different aspects of it. Not all, I don't know about all, but many different aspects, many different flavors in which it takes. And in different circumstances, different flavors, different qualities of it get evoked, get awakened, and operate for us all. And so in terms of my core teachings then, that this naturalistic tendency has led me to this deep faith in, or trust in, or reverence for this place within that is way too limited if I call it mine, or if I say it's within me, or define myself by it. It's almost like I get out of the way for this to operate, to be there. And so I have a kind of reverence for this, a kind of sense of that this is really almost sacred, because it's not about me. It's about nature knowing nature, and nature relating to nature caring for nature. So this is a core aspect of behind my teachings, core aspect of who I am, and I would I suspect that I would like it, that, or I believe that this is at the foundation of what motivates me for pretty much everything I do. So thank you for my chance to share this, and so there'll be one more talk on this topic of my core teachings tomorrow. Thank you.